Letting go of what I had, 'cause I realize that now there's no turning back, 'cause I'm a young heart living in a world filled with love. So when teardrops fall from me like rain from above, I can brush my troubles away. Know that deep down inside, I've got sunshine in my life. I used to think I could do better.
You want to follow the road round, but kind of where the lorry is, really.
Get me wrong. But those kind of feelings never last that long. Top of the finger, I show them.
Holy Rude Estate.
The sales of black music in this country are dominated in London. Still mainly in London, but that's spreading. Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, maybe you'd expect him to come from one of those places. Certainly never in a million years Southampton. I mean, never.
Let's get this whole thing together here. See what's going on.
Great, did you want this box to go now, or do you want to have a look through it?
Well, that's all the rabbit.
There's a couple more of those, actually. Shall I bring them in?
Do you know where the Biggie album is? You know, the one with the baby on the front? I just can't.
My parents played a massive part of influencing me in the style of music that I'm doing now. Even though they divorced when I was 8, they still kept a real strong bond for me, which made me feel like I was part of a family.
Yeah, he did a song.
My dad was part of a reggae roots revival type group back in the day, called Ebony Rockers. And he was bass guitarist for that group.
At an early age, I know Craig had the ability to go very far. How far is a big surprise to me, and I think a surprise to himself. His mother is the person she's not surprised at all. Like from day one, she said she knew.
I used to play a club called Chaos, and my mum kind of ended up being part of the crew because I couldn't get up there. I couldn't take all these records, and I needed about 3 boxes. So we went up in this blue Fiat, which was kind of could get you from A to B. No, actually, you couldn't even get to B too well. It got you to like A, second level. So you remember those with the boxes then?
Carrying boxes up 4 flights of stairs, yeah.
No, in the Fiat with the bullet holes in the side door. Is the blue box in there?
Dark blue.
Yeah.
One of those dark blue ones.
My mum was a massive fan of the Stevie Wonders of this world, the Michael Jacksons, the Osmonds. So I had the more pop side from my mum. Tension and Derby is another one that my mum was a big fan of. So I was listening to people who were real live entertainers who could write songs. And I was always inspired by these people. And funny enough, seeing Tension and Derby was the first person I saw in concert in the Guildhall in Southampton. And I never really experienced what it was like to see someone live and the energy it can create. And it actually absolutely blew my mind to think, the record at home was good, but this is amazing.
We used to bring him to the local club in Southampton, and he used to go on the stage and pick up the mic and start chatting, thing like, you know, I was attending, Craig, come off, you know, he's a bit embarrassed in a sense, like, you know, but the crowd just like it.
Craig Faye David alongside the DJ Flash, all up in the mix like, whoa.
We won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop.
Yeah.
I thought I told you that we won't stop.
I thought I told you that we won't stop. Check it.
I met Craig here at the Afro-Caribbean Centre when he was about 14 years old. I was DJing one night, and then I see this kid like going through his record box, and I like noticed he had like the same collection as me, R&B. I mean, we was into the same music, so we just hooked up together as a team.
Yeah.
Put it on me like a G, baby.
Nice and slow.
I need a rough neck, nigga, man, single and a second.
ain't afraid.
Hold my hand, spank me from the back.
Craig used to chat on the mic, which is called MCing. I'd put instrumentals on, and he'd just be chatting over it, doing a bit of singing over it as well, and like people used to love that.
This is how we do it, baby. Put your hands up in the air if you're feeling me. As we move inside something like this, for the people that know, you know, this one's dedicated to all the crew that been representing all the lighter crew. Hold tight.
DJing for me played a massive part in just my whole psyche of how I interpret music. Because growing up as a UK DJ, my interpretation of R&B and hip-hop from America was very different from someone who lives in Harlem or in the Bronx. So I was able to take what I wanted from it, and then go onto the decks and do my thing.
Woo! No headphones, am I the man? Oh man, it's like, if this is music, if the singing thing goes down the drain, I know I can always come back to you. You just hold tight, because now we're in the flow.
I mean, as soon as he like finished school, Craig was straight on his decks. I'd be straight round, up all night, around there every day. It's like I lived there.
If this was the place of, before we went out to go clubbing, be it go out and DJ, everyone would congregate around here. And it was such a vibe because I'd be just here DJing. It was like you're doing a warm-up set at home. You're vibing up, just getting yourself ready to go out and DJ, what tracks you're going to play, and next thing, a few friends come round, and it just builds into this, like, hey, the whole crew's here, we're ready, we're looking sharp, and we're home, everyone's vibes because the music's playing, and we go out. It's funny because that experience, I haven't had that for such a long time, because we're doing all the travelling, and there's a lot of, like, jumping from here to there, so you can't really congregate in the same way I used to. And we had some great laughs in here, man. We had some real funny times.
Check it. Making moves, yeah, on the dance floor, got a groove on, yeah, me your heart cold from the front to the back, that's where I was at. You know, DJ Flash does it like that, but Craig gave it all the way up. It's all up to you, when the crowd are wild, what you gonna do?
The DJing thing for me was like a massive learning curve, because it helps you have that mentality of when you're writing a song, who you're writing it for. And there's a substance to it. You know that the clubs, if the clubs are feeling this, it has this foundation that hopefully will build, and then hopefully radio will play it and so on. But if you kind of miss the clubs, it's like people are hearing it, but actually not feeling it, because it's not really being played in the places where people go out every weekend.
By the age of 15, Craig David had established himself as a DJ on the Southampton nightclub scene, just as a new kind of dance music was emerging.
I met Mark Hill in a club in Southampton, which I was a resident at, and he was playing kind of a UK two-step garage set, which people weren't that familiar with at first, but were like, yeah, it's kind of funky.
There's been a pretty sort of vibrant underground club scene, but obviously nowhere near on the scale as it is in the kind of major cities. So it's been quite quiet, which I think is almost the reason creatively why so much has gone on here.
The jungle drum and bass scene was dying in the UK. All of a sudden this merged into two-step, which is a much more, especially for females, a much more acceptable style of music. Not like R&B, which is more laid back. It's something you could dance to, because there was this feeling particularly in the black community, that house music was for white kids. You know, it was thumping, but it was for white kids. There was nothing of that energy for black kids. And along comes garage two-step.
It's kind of related to house music as much as it's related to R&B music, and I think the two-step comes from the fact that there's, two bass drum beats in a bar, I suppose, as in drum and bass, as opposed to the floor sort of house music.
Oh, baby, and I will never ever let you go. I bring you flowers in the without you.
Mark told me that he was a producer, and he'd been looking for vocalists in Southampton to lay some vocals down on the tracks that he'd done. And I was like, this is great. I mean, I sing, a songwriter, I write, I've got all these songs at home that I'm looking for somebody to produce. It was like this perfect marriage.
Craig was one of the first who actually went out and performed and done PAs and went out there and actually put a stamp on the music and gave it credibility in the sense that it wasn't just a remix music.
real hardcore. The front to the back, that's where I was at. You know, the awful time to do it like that. You craved it all over your body, babe. You know it's all up to you. When the crowd go wild, tell me what you gonna do, yeah. Come on, 3, 2, 1. When the crowd say go, selector. 3, 2, 1. When the crowd say go, selector. 3, 2, 1. When the crowd say go, selector. 3, 2, 1. When the crowd say go, go, go.
So something about the vocal on that track that really stuck with you, partly because it had that line about, you know, partly because he kept singing his own name, obviously, all the way through it, and had that line about, you know, Craig David all over your boink in it, which is like a brilliant thing for people to latch onto, brilliant thing for like teen magazines to latch onto.
Not to forget, of course, when the crowd say bowl, selector.
Rewind. When the crowd say bowl, selector.
And even people who weren't into UK garage or even urban music were saying,
When I say ball, say selector! Ball! Selector!
once you've got all these little things buzzing around the track, it was only going to be a matter of time before it did what it did.
Rewind. When the crowd say bowl, selector. Rewind. When the crowd say bowl, selector. Rewind. When the crowd say bowl, selector. Rewind.
My mum, when she kind of heard, was like, Craig, rewind. And I was like, it's cool, let's just let it do its thing.
And it went in at number 2, unfortunately. Thanks to Cliff Richard.
He came off Rewind. The pressure was on him to come with another garage record. His heart was obviously in R&B.
Come on, can you feel me?
With Fill Me In, he kind of merged the American R&B sound with the UK garage sound.
I was checking this girl next door and her parents went out. She phone say, hey boy, come on right around. So she knocked on the door, I was standing with a bottle of red wine ready to pour. Just in a long black satin and lace to the floor. Yo, so I went in and we sat down, started kissing, caressing. Told me about jacuzzi, sounded interesting. So we jumped right in. All calls diverted to answer phone. Please leave a message after the tone. Yo, I mean, me and her parents were kinda cool, but they were the fine line between me and you, yeah. We were just doing things and people that loved you. Parents trying to find out what we were up to.
When the album dropped, I think people were at first a little skeptical. But like, is he trying to turn his back on the garage scene? He's trying to remove himself away from it.
The dance scene in Britain has always got this sort of terrible bee in its bonnet about, you know, people crossing over, about people, you know, all selling out.
This sellout notion was what was holding the music back. Everybody was afraid of selling out. Producers, artists, even DJs. It really did go right down to the street level, and the street dominated what black music tastes were.
I write songs and I'm not caged in a certain sound and a certain style.
It's new #1 time now, and this guy is the youngest ever UK male solo artist to reach the very top spot. Very exciting. Give it up for Mr. Craig David!
Alright. Can you feel me? Yeah. Come on. Can you feel me? Yeah.
I never felt that single was a #1 record. I remember saying to Craig, you know, it's not going to be a #1 single. But I think, you know, my hope for this track is top 10. If we can get top 10 and build our way through, I think 7 Days is absolutely, you know, a #1 record, you know. And of course, my whole plan went to pot because Fill Me In went at #1 and, you know, it all went terribly pear-shaped from there. But not a bad problem to have had.
I've got to tell you, I've had the strangest week ever. What happened is I was walking through the subway on a Monday, and I met this beautiful girl, and what happened is I asked her if she'd like to come out for a drink on Tuesday. By Wednesday, doing all kinds of things, you know what I'm saying? Yo, but I don't think you're ready for some of this.
If you go to his concerts, you'll see a real cross-section of audience. A lot of parents who've got the CD on in their car, but also are quite happy to take their 13-year-old daughter along to the concert. They don't feel threatened sexually by him.
You know what she said? She said she loved you. pride of view. She asked me what we were gonna do, so we stopped with a bottle of Moet for Monday. What? Took her for a drink on Tuesday. We were making love by Wednesday, and on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, children. I met this girl on Monday. I took her for a drink on Tuesday. We were making love by Wednesday, and on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, children.
I've grown up with my mum, and in the way that I write songs lyrically, I have more respect for girls and the way that I talk about girls. That's why in Born to Do It, the whole of the album is very narrative about situations of meeting different girls, but never really bad mouthing, because I always feel you should have a respect.
I'm not a man to play around, baby, cause the one that's stand is really fair. When the first impression, you don't seem to be like that, cause there's a need to jump, there'll be plenty time for that. From the subway to my home, and the swinging of my phone. When you're feeling all alone, you got you, baby, just call me, just call me Monday.
I remember seeing him play acoustically on the Chris Evans show on TFI Friday. And he did 7 days, I think, and I was so impressed.
Elton John sent me the album. He sends me everything, because he knows I don't pay attention. So he sends me things that he thinks are important in pop music.
I couldn't believe, for a start, he was so young. And that was, I just flipped out about that. Then I saw him being interviewed on TV, and I thought, he's really, really got something together here. He's very intelligent. He knows what he's doing.
What intrigued me is that he was telling a story within the confines of a pop song, which always interests me, because it's unusual these days. People don't usually tell stories. They sing slogans or they sing a catchphrase, but to actually tell a story with a coherent narrative, with a beginning, a middle, and an end is unusual.
Telling stories and being narrative in my music is always something I really enjoy. I like to kind of look at it as if you were reading a book. And I try to write songs that aren't too specific and too articulate about exactly what went on, because otherwise people are going to be living through my experiences as opposed to listening to the song and in some respects saying that song maybe was written for me because I've experienced that.
Sometimes some people get me wrong, but when it's something I've said or done, but now I truly realize some people don't want to compromise. Well, I saw them with my own eyes, spreading those lies. And well, I don't want to live a lie. Too many sleepless nights, not mentioning the fight. I'm sorry to say, lady, I'm walking away.
Walking Away was really the track that cemented him as a credible artist. He wasn't just this one-trick pony from a garage act who got lucky. That was the record that would have been played at the more middle-of-the-road stations, and that's the difference between selling 200,000 albums and 3 million albums.
Walking Away became Craig David's third consecutive hit single, and his album, Born to Do It, went on to sell over 7 million copies around the world. He was still only 19 years old.
The South Bank Show, sponsored by Taylors of Harrogate.
Come on, baby. Ooh, yeah.
Did you bring the Land Rover out from the UK? Or
me and my brother drove it here.
What, through France?
Yeah, we went through the Channel Tunnel with all the equipment.
Yeah. Did you take anything from the studio in Southampton?
Well, to be honest, I hardly ever use the studio in Southampton now, so...
Okay.
There's still a couple of guitars there. All the actual recording equipment and computer equipment is exactly the same.
The success of Born to Do It has made both Mark Hill and Craig independently wealthy. Earlier this year, they met up at Mark's new studio in Ibiza to work on Craig's second album.
It must be difficult now for someone at Craig's level if he works with a different producer. I mean, their perception of Craig is as
a joker.
A fool. Well, apart from that, but like a 9 million selling, super artist, and it must be quite daunting.
I like that. It's wrong.
No, I said other people's perception of you must be of. Okay. And whereas I just think he's Craig from the area,
from good old Holyrood, Southampton.
Just run through the track. Like pretty much the finished version. I just want to check the beginning part. Yeah. Basically up until where it goes falsetto. Don't worry about that bit.
Okay.
But like the first bit of the verse, I just want to see what it sounds like double track.
That's cool.
Are you going to do anything over the intro or just leave it?
Yeah, I'll just vibe. So come on, come on, baby. Ooh, yeah.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. Come on. So just the first part, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, baby, he keeps on saying that he tells you you're the only one, but everybody knows he's out there having fun behind your back, and that's a fact, and it ain't right, cause he's a fly guy acting like a gentleman. But back in the day, I can still remember when he just turned around with a look twice at you. It sometimes can help you when you don't have technical ability, so you just kind of go with what sounds right, and I'll come up with something that maybe isn't quite correct, but just it's got a vibe about it. And that's nice, because Mark's got the technical, I've got just vibe, and just throw things in there that make no sense. And it ain't right, cause your connections keep him sweet, and that's so typical. He's only in it for himself, and that's so cynical. He'd be out of sight, girl, if you lost it all.
Okay, I'll just vibe.
Baby, late
What happens in the middle eight?
Yeah?
What happens in the middle eight?
Just straight. But I'll play something around with it. So I'll try and double track this chorus part, yeah?
Yeah.
Just with the BB.
Yep.
What you see is what you get. Ain't no in the trend.
Sounds nice.
So girlfriend, when it's playing around, you ever remember? But what you see is what you get. Ain't no in the trend. So girlfriend, when it's playing around, you ever remember? Because I'm only 20, the things that I talk about are still going to be very young. I mean, I don't know about marriage and having children and the latter stages of life and things that you do. Gone latter stages, like you have to be 80 to have children. But I like to talk about things that my age group can relate to. But I put it in a format that adults can also can touch on. I know the love between us is growing stronger. You can call me whenever, from wherever. Just remember that, and I'll be there through all the storm weather. Us break up never, no, we'll be together forever. You don't miss your water till the well runs dry. But I believe so strongly in you and I. Can somebody answer me the question why? Oh girl, you don't miss your water till the well runs dry. I try to always write songs that people will say, oh yeah, this guy's still in touch. He hasn't gone off and forgotten what's really going on here.
No, he's not off in Ibiza sitting next to a swimming pool.
Not sitting in a bar pool. He's not like getting a little suntan. I mean, when it's freezing cold in England. Baby, you know that I'm thinking about some things for a while. And I know that you know that I might just style this out. You know, you don't miss your water till the well.
Our next performer is a man who has successfully fused hip-hop and R&B influences with the accelerated tempos of the UK garage scene while still maintaining his urban roots. What's that mean? I haven't got a clue, but it sounds dead, dead good. Please welcome, live on stage, Mr. Craig David.
I was just down the store when her parents went out. She won't say, hey, boy, come right around. So I looked at the door, you were standing with a bottle of red wine, ready to pour, just a little excited, they stood at the door. So in the end, I sat down, started to sing, chorusing, from the back, jacuzzi sounded interesting. So we jumped right in, all calls diverted to answer phone.
When Craig got nominated for 6 Brits, everybody was doolally like, wow, you know, he's from our part of town, that type of thing, musically anyway. 6 Brits. I don't think I've ever heard of that in terms of a black artist.
Who's been your favourite new act this year?
I think Craig David, just for the lyrics, filled me in. Anyone with lyrics that good.
Certainly a popular choice here with the...
But you never can tell.
You never know. You never do know. Let's have a look at the nominees then for Best British Newcomer.
Everyone expected him to get something, and at that time I don't know if they felt they should have held him back, or they felt that he was doing too much at the time, or he was being too big for his boots.
It was in some tough categories, in fairness. There were some popular acts up against him, but you'd have thought he'd have scooped one.
Always there, but didn't bring the new flavor. Came to bar the average raver. Plugged in and along with speaker. DJ cutting up with the cross fader. Razor. All up in the new stick guitar. Better tell you, I never thought that I would make it this far. Having enough money to balance of a horse buster. This was in the form of a giant poster. That's all I got to say. Thanks to my peeps for supporting me. Dance floors nationwide, you feel me? 6 nominations, no Brits for CD.
In a sea of mediocrity that you get out there nowadays, he was just like a breath of fresh air. I was very upset when he didn't get a Brit Award, as, you know, it's been quite well documented about that. I mean, I thought it was disgraceful.
I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody who's won, but if there's a better singer in England than Craig David, then I'm Margaret Thatcher.
The Brits, however, was not the only music awards in town, and Craig had already been nominated for 6 Mobos.
This time last year, he probably couldn't have got tickets to the Mobos. A year later, he's had 2 solo #1 singles and sold 500,000 copies of his album in only 1 month. Here's Craig David.
I was checking this girl next door when her parents went out. She phoned, say, hey, boy, come right around here. So she knocked at the door, standing with the keys in my hand to the 4x4. Jumped in my ride, checking nobody saw.
The Mobos, they gave Craig loads of awards, which then made the Brits look out of date and the Mobos look bang up to date.
And the winner is Craig David. Fill me
Like I said, whoever thought we'd be in LA, walking through with your glasses on, you can't see.
How you doing?
Hello, how are you?
How about yourself? How you doing? Hello, everybody.
Hello, how are you?
Going over to America, I felt I'm going to put down the bags of all my success in the UK and Europe. I'm going to approach this like I'm a newcomer who wants to show that it's about songs, and it's not about trying to please certain people and trying to make everyone enjoy every aspect of my music, because at the end of the day, there's going to be some people that may not like my music because it's not to their taste.
Oh man, I'll make sure I turn it on for you, don't worry, David, it is on. Straight.
We are separated by a common language. I have no idea what he said.
You really have to be something special to cross the pond. It's as difficult as it was before the Beatles now. I think that that gap is almost shut down.
Why do they need someone from overseas who is kind of taking a diluted version of what we've already got? But I think if you can take better R&B or different R&B over to America, then I think people stand up and take attention.
Right here, Craig.
The only thing they're going to buy is what they've not really got. They didn't have the Beatles, and they definitely didn't have someone who could sing and rap and MC like Craig David.
My next guest, a British singing sensation.
who has sold more than 7 million CDs worldwide. His current CD is called Born to Do It. Tonight he's performing his new single, 7 Days. Please welcome Craig David.
Look who let it in the back door. It's been 7 days, so let's roll. From the UK to Brooklyn, they know. Craig David, most definitely primo. When we step on the mic, we too cold. You know the drill. Remix might fracture your nose.
You don't know. Now look alive and clap your hands.
He works very hard. A lot of British performers that come to America, they don't put the work in, and it's a big country.
Make most can do it. Get that ass moving from the front to back to it.
Today on the Plaza welcomes Craig David, a big star in the UK with a #1 album and a #1 song. He is poised to become a huge star here in the US.
We went everywhere doing all the radio shows and all the promotion, everything there was to do, we did. At the beginning, no one had heard of him, and you could see it build, and that was the exciting thing, I think, seeing it climb up the Billboard charts.
The hardest part, I think, for him was getting on R&B, on the urban stations, as they're called now. And he managed to crack that.
Oh, no, you know he's a DJ. You know he can rock the mic. I know he can. He's a DJ. Put him on.
We're closing a deal.
Straight.
Very good.
He's probably one of the few artists who doesn't rely on dancing and the whole stage theatrical show to sell his records and his image. He just comes up and he blows you away with him and Fraser on the guitar and just his vocal ability.
Well, check, he back production, he got Boris Gumbo, he got on a sideboard, he won Spinal Cracker, he got beat down below his knees, hold you in his armchair, you can feel his disease. Now come together, oh yeah, right now, oh baby, over me.
When we first did that batch of acoustic performances, people were quite struck by, wow, it's the sound is more classic, yet Craig's rapping over the top. He's an R&B singer, so I think that the fusion of that has been very important.
You can't hide behind anything. It's like vocal and guitar, and you're either going to pull it off or you're not.
Yo, don't kick in this grow your way. So when I say turn up the mic, turn up the whole PA. And I know that it's real hard to try and say goodbye when it feels like yesterday. Still doesn't mean that we can't cry. No. Means that we walk on by. No. The difference is some gotta let it out and some don't wanna let it show. Ain't gotta play it on VCRs. We know the heroes are the real superstars. And it's funny to think that with his voice and the sound of guitars, gonna be bringing people together in 16 bars. And I know that it ain't easy to look forward in this time of tragedy. But hope is one day we'll all be free. Come together, be one big family. Come on. What? I say come on.
I was thinking about influences that I'd had over the years, like the Beatles, and I just thought that it would be great if I could bring something to the table that maybe Craig hadn't been influenced by so much. We just listened to some sounds that were being generated in the sort of late 60s and 70s, and then just began the very organic process of writing the song.
But then you listen to it coming in, that's the only thing. It might sound a little bit kind of like hands in the air, type of Trappers reunion.
Writing on the road was new for me because it had always been back home in my bedroom, comfortable, I know the environment. I like to sometimes sing melodies and have Fraser play them on the guitar, which actually then makes the riff of a lot of the songs.
My troubles away.
Congratulations.
Very nice.
That's really working. Let's really get on now. Let's get my mic and let's turn it on.
On one hand, we've been asking him to promote Born to Do It in America. And on the other hand, we've been saying, Craig, you've got to have a new album, you know.
The time is ticking away to the point where, Craig, you need an album now, or you've been away for such a long time that you're just like starting all over again.
Now that love's here to stay, I found a better day to brush my troubles away.
It's a bit quiet.
The South Bank Show, sponsored by Taylors of Harrogate.
Every time we take one step forward, you take two steps back. Every time it's right, you bring left back. Oh, and you really ought to think about it, 'cause there's really no doubt about it. You know I've been there for you, and that's the truth. Every time we take one step forward, you take two steps back. Every time.
Craig David's been absent from the UK charts for nearly 2 years, a lifetime in pop terms. He's now under pressure to repeat his initial success with his second album.
You put everything you have into that first album, everything you've been thinking about, all your dreams, all your plans, all the little snippets of songs you've had maybe for 10 years, go into that album. It's a hit, and then you realize that there's nothing in the petrol tank anymore.
You look at the ingredients of that first album and say, well, why am I a star? How did I do it? What was special about it? And some people can't recapture it. It's gone.
Do you just repeat that formula in the hope that people will still buy into it? Do you do something completely different in the hope that your personality or your fan base is strong enough to just be carried along into that?
I met this fly girl in a club, went by the name of Pecan Deluxe. This ice cream was high maintenance. When I took her out, nearly cost me $20.
You've obviously got to find new topics to talk about and to try to be different. I mean, the first album was solely Mark Hill all the way. This time he's moved on and worked with different producers.
It's important for an artist not to get too locked into one producer, because you become very reliant then on that relationship. And I think with an artist as good as Craig David, it's important that he gets to work with as many different people as possible.
What's your flavor?
Yeah.
What's your flavor? What's your flavor? Yeah. What's your flavor? Come on, come on, come on, yeah, yeah. Yo. I met this black girl in a club, went by the name of Pecan Deluxe. This ice cream was high maintenance. When I took her out, nearly cost me $20. Met the chick named Walnut, whip nearly made me sick to the point of throwing up. So I called chocolate chip with the sweet toffee crisp, and I still can't get enough. You're what I want, you're what I need. I wanna taste you, take you home with me. You look so good, girl, good enough to eat. I wonder if I could peel your wrapper. Do you want to ad-libs on it? Okay.
Even though people like diss black British music over the years and stuff, I think that sometimes they have like a longing for it to be good as well inside, and I think it's a lot to do with timing, because it just takes one person really to do it and follow up on which he's managed to do.
I took them in the middle of July with the drop top down in the park when the summer in. These ice creams looking so fly that I just can't lie. It all seems too bewildering. They got these grown men running around screaming out, acting worse than chittering. But who flow better, know better, stack cheddar, get more tongues better than this ice cream veteran.
I look at the origin of where my music comes from as being very much influenced by black music, especially from America, in this hip hop and R&B. But at the same time, growing up in the UK, being British, having been from a mixed race family, having my mum white, half Jewish, my dad from Grenada, it keeps you very open-minded about things. So I feel I write songs that I'm passionate about, that are representative of where I sit in the mix.
There are going to be more mixed race kids in this country than there'll be black kids within probably 10 years, I'd imagine. So he does represent a new wave of kids, growing up in this country.
What you'll find is, poor black people and poor white people live next door to each other, and the kids invariably end up playing in the same football teams, going to the shop at the same time, going to the same schools, and listening to the same music.
He is a great example and a great inspiration to a generation of kids from the streets where race doesn't really, it's not a big issue to them. And I think that he definitely speaks for that generation.
Now, this brother's been away for a while, but now he's back. And tonight we've got a worldwide exclusive performance of his new track, What's Your Flavor? People go mad and show him how much we missed him. Craig David!
What? What you say? Come on. What? I'm this black girl in a club rings by the name of PK. This ice cream was hot, and women took her out, and it cost me $20. But this chick ain't worn up, it really made me sick to the point of throwing up. So I called chocolate chip with a sweet toffee beat, and I still can't get enough. You are my want, you are my need. I wanna taste you, take you home with me. You look so good, good enough to me. I wonder if I can feel your eyes. What's your flavor? Tell me what's your flavor? What's your flavor?
As much as I've done it so many times now, it felt a little weird with the new single and being back in the UK. You just never quite know what the feedback, the vibe's going to be like. It's a little weird being back. As quick as you can have success, it can be taken away, and if you can be at fault, as soon as you try and step the mark and you believe in your own ego, is when you have a problem.
Sometimes in life you feel the fight is over, and it seems as though the writing's on the wall. Superstar, you finally made it, but once your picture becomes tainted, it's what they call the rise and fall.
He came to play me this song one day that had this wonderful melody and a great story about, you know, this kid that had sold millions of records and suddenly started losing his sort of, you know, focus on life. And I'm looking at Craig thinking, writing about yourself?
Started believing that I was the greatest. My life was never gonna be the same. 'Cause with the money came a different status. That's when things changed. Now I'm too concerned with all the things I own. Blinded by all the pretty girls I see. I'm beginning to lose my integrity.
It was very interesting for me to sit down and to write a song about how the rise and fall of someone's career can be. And having seen so many artists that I'd been influenced by fall at hurdles that I thought, you've gone clear, you're fine here.
Burn all my bridges, now I've run out of places, and there's nowhere left for me to turn. Been caught in compromising situations I should have learned from all those times I didn't walk away when I knew that it was best to go. Is it too late to show you the shape of my heart? Sometimes in life you feel the fight is over, and it seems as though the writing's on. Superstar, you finally made it. Once your picture becomes tainted, it's what they call the rise and fall. Now I know I made mistakes. Think I don't care, but you don't realize what this means to me. So let me.
I sent off to Sting to ask if he could clear the sample, which he came back and said he loved the song and it was fine, go for it. And at the same time I said it would be wonderful if you could come down to the studio and to lay some vocals on this.
He said to me, well, I'm in the song I'm seeing you as being a kind of father figure. Should I kind of, oh yeah. How old are you? I'm 20. Okay, well, I could be your father.
Lyrically, what I was trying to say as well would be perfect with him in the hook. Actually being the more elder spokesman saying, look at me, I'm someone who's with experience. Craig, don't get caught up in these things, because it can be the rise and fall.
There are psychological dangers of just being too successful too quickly, where you start believing the things people say about you, negative and as well as positive. and you lose your personality, you lose your perspective, you lose who you really are.
You're a superstar. Everybody's telling you, you know, you shit vanilla. It's fantastic. It's really amazing situation.
Ever since I first stepped up, they thought I wasn't good enough. They told me that I'd only last one song.
That's foolish, man. What's it like now? 7 million albums?
I think Craig's image is a very, very interesting one. We don't really ever see him with women. There's not really any scandal about him. I think that initially was his appeal to, he was a fresh-faced young guy from the streets, never really had a nasty word to say about anybody.
No girls seem to be writing stories about him. No boys seem to be writing stories about him. You know, everyone's looking for something and they're not getting anything.
Craig David doesn't smoke crack. Craig David doesn't carry a gun. Craig David doesn't sleep with hookers. You know, these are things that papers love to write about.
You're in the limelight, people are watching you, and you just have to make sure you're careful in what you do and just be confident. And if you want to walk hand in hand with your girlfriend down the street and be loud and proud, then be proud. And if you want to be more private about your relationships, that's you as well.
Right now, you know, Craig's as clean as a whistle. And, you know, it'll all change. And, you know, I hope you'll be prepared for that when it comes, but it's inevitable putting yourself in that position.
Craig's job or responsibility, whether he realises or not, is one, to do the best he possibly can for Craig David, and two, to open as many doors for people behind him. Because if he's not really, for me, keeping it real.
One minute we were like chilling, walking down the park or whatever, and now he's like in America. It's like, you know, I see him now and again, you know, when he can, because obviously I know he's very busy, you know, over in the States and everything, but, you know, I don't really see much of him, but, you know.
I'm a young heart living in a world filled with love. I've come from these humble backgrounds in Southampton. I've had all this success, and I don't regret where I am now, but at the same time, I do understand that there's been changes.
But I got my peace of mind, and time is firmly on my side. So through the bad times I can safely say that I'm a young heart living in a world filled with love. So when teardrops fall from me like rain from above, I can brush my troubles away. Know that deep down inside I've got sunshine in my life.
That was great. Can you send the next person in on the way out, please?
The thing is, I think they haven't actually put in their CV to even get past the door. So I thought I'd just try and do a little thing for you.
I think you're good. I think you're very much like Craig David, though.
But the thing is, what I've learned from Pop Idol is that you've got to try and be yourself, and don't try and be anybody else. So a lot of people say I sound like Craig David, but I'm just trying to be me.
I think you look like him as well.
Well, I could do a Britney Spears impersonation.
Yeah. Anyway, on your way out, if you could, just send the next one in. We're quite busy. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.